Good afternoon, everyone. Country Flyboy here, and man, has it been a long time. Yeah, you guys know, busy, time, life gets in the way. Yeah, the only reason I'm making this video is because, well, this was a big announcement. I kind of had to. A new flight sim from Microsoft, of all people, and no one saw this one coming. So I had a look at the trailer. I'm going to do a bit of a reaction, kind of rundown. I'm not going to watch the trailer on screen or anything, but I'll have, bits of it. I think I might have it playing. My initial reaction was,
holy shit!
Okay, so the trailer starts and we get captured in real time in 4K. So 4K. I don't really know what they mean by real time, but 4K, that's a big deal. And the next thing was powered by satellite data and the Azure AI. Now, I don't know much about Azure. I know it's machine learning, all that fun stuff. So we'll just put that to the side. I don't know. I'll have to do more reading on it. But powered by satellite data, that's a bit of a big deal because even X-Plane doesn't do that. X-Plane uses street mapping data, and it does something. It kind of looks like satellite, but by default, unless you put ortho in there, X-Plane's not really satellite data. FSX had satellite images in a few places, but nothing current. This looks like it's going to be more real-time satellite data kind of streamed to your computer. Like, instead of land classing textures, we get what's actually there. Now, I have a bit of a worry about that because one of the big negatives about using satellite data in flight sims today, both with X-Plane and FSX, is you're kind of limited. You get nice looking textures, but you only get daytime unless you edit them to include nighttime, and you only get one season, which is whenever the freaking picture was taken. So they're going to have to be doing some serious work to be getting that to look like changing seasons. I mean, FSX already supports changing seasons with the land class. Even if you go to satellite in the next one, but you can't do changing seasons, I mean, you kind of downgrade it in a lot of ways. Now, nowhere, I've seen some speculation that this is a new engine on the Reddit thread. Nowhere in this trailer has it specified the engine. And looking at that first shot, that looks an awful lot like Flight Sim World and True Sky, doesn't it? I can't help but feel that there's definitely some Flight Sim World-like things going on here. Tinfoil hat time, I think they might be using some of the code changes that FSW made. But, yeah, put the tinfoil hat away. Let's just look at this for a while. Now, this shot here, I don't know what city this is. Is this Rio? Or, some other, is it Italy or somewhere? But this looks amazing. This looks like a real believable city. I'm not saying like, oh god, is this real life or is this sim? I hate those freaking titles on screenshots. But what I mean here is this clearly is a sim. It's the game. But this looks believable. This looks like, random streets, buildings where they should be. It just looks right, whereas FSX with the land class, it looks good from a distance, but when you get over it, it looks bad. And encounter on the other side of the spectrum, you get X-Plane, which looks bad at a distance because you can clearly tell it's not a city. It doesn't look believable unless you look straight down. Then it looks good. But this looks like it'll be good from both. I mean, we got boats. Those look like new boat models too. Like, that cruise ship over there on the left, that looks like the same cruise ship model that's been in the freaking game since forever. But these look like new boat models here. Like a trawl. That's a fishing boat and trawlers and stuff. I can see two other small boats here. Probably the same boat models as before. But it definitely looks way more believable than any sim currently on the market. And just look at this shot. This is San Fran. This is definitely, I think this is San Fran. It looks like San Fran. And just look at that. That is gorgeous. You recolor that, you could mistake it for a photo. In fact, here's a recolor of it. Look at how that fog hangs. That fog just hangs around the buildings and all that boat and ship traffic. And look at how I'm a sucker for attention to detail. And it's always the small things that really get me. Like, FSX can look that good, but you know where it doesn't look that good? Right here. You see where the boats and marina and all that, and how that transitions to the city? Like, in FSX, it never looks like an actual marina there. it just looks like someone decided to build their house right next to the boardwalk. You know, you don't do that. That's prime real estate, mate. That's where we're putting restaurants and stuff. This looks like an actual marina. Now, it's not a good enough shot to get too much detail as the look, but it looks real to me. It looks believable is the word I want to use. Not real, but believable. So we got the shot of the airplane in the hangar. Now, I don't ignore the possibility of operational hangars, because I don't really care. I don't, you know, flight sim add-ons have had operational hangars, even my own, and I never fucking use them. So, I don't really care about the hangar, but probably not operational hangars. And even if they do, I don't care. But the, I want to point something out. Trailers are always designed to look good, and every game in the world's guilty of this. They always try to make their trailers to show the game in the best light, and there's always going to be things that don't look good elsewhere that didn't make it into the trailer, because obviously you're selling the product, you want to make it look good. That said, this looks gorgeous. And just looking out into the airport, you know, the level of detail, that looks even better than X-Plane. Now, maybe that's going to be one of the HD airports. I wouldn't expect every airport in the world, especially like small local fields like mine, to look that good. But still, that looks very pretty. Now, I also want to bring up the aircraft. This aircraft is a DA62, and I'm using a list via Zeus1325 from the subreddit. Thank you, Zeus, for making this. All the timestamps for the airplanes are in there. This looks nice. That's a DA62. I want to get on to the next shot, I believe it is, which was not this one. This is a TBM, probably a 930. This one right here with the A320neo. Again, gorgeous looking airport, LAX. The clutter around the airfield looks really nice. Like frickin' Orbex eat your heart out with that stuff. And that's default level? Oh. Now, I also want to point out, we got some new models here. Like, those do not look like the models used via FSX for ground clutter and vehicles and that. This one might be, this van here. It might be retextured, reskinned, but all that looks like brand new models. Now, this shot of the cockpit during pushback. Now, is there going to be a better pushback system by default? Quite possibly. That was planned for FSX to have a better pushback. It was just never completed. To this day, parking spots, when you make scenery parking spots, you can specify the pushback direction, and that's part of a feature that was never finished. This is an A320neo, and looking at it, the first thing that catches my eye is this aircraft has an FMS. It looks like it has a working FMS, so could we expect more systems detail out of default planes this time around? Quite possibly. I am of the belief that it doesn't take a third-party add-on dev who doesn't know what the word stop means and is just obsessed with detail. Like, not attention to detail, obsessed with it, to the point that he runs the cost of production so freaking high you gotta charge hundreds of dollars. I'm not of the belief that that is necessary to have good airplanes. You could definitely make very nice airplanes and not charge hundreds of bucks. So, if we can get good systems modeling on default planes, I'm all over it. Now, I'm going to fast forward a bit. Nothing really too fancy happens in the trailer with the A320, but this shot catches my eye, and going back to what I said earlier with the shot from the marina, how this looks like a real marina. Like, we got boats and buildings that look like they belong there. We don't have just, you know, some dude's house in the middle of a patch of grass that had a boardwalk on both sides. No, we got buildings that look like they belong. Now, this is San Fran, and which is probably going to be one of the more detailed cities. So I'm not saying this is how it's going to look everywhere. Hell, definitely not. I'll probably go to my hometown and find it's not there. Well, actually, if they're using satellite data, it should be there. But this looks really good. It looks believable. I keep using the word believable for a reason, because I don't want to use the word realistic. Kind of a dirty word. Pretty landscape shots. Nice shots of the reef. It's like a crater. Now this shot of the weather. Holy crap. So the two things catch my eye in this shot. One, the weather. And that looks really good. You can see what looks like a real rain shaft, not the fake rain shaft that Rex does. And these clouds, they have actual vertical development. They don't look like flat textures. And the other thing that catches my eye is the airport and how, I don't know what airport this is, I don't know where the screenshot is, but the airport looks, from this distance, detailed, and there's even trees. Because when you made, in the airport, there's trees. When you made when the default airports in Flight Sim, they almost never had clutter like that inside the airfield. You know, some small airports you get like trees and ditches and stuff in the middle of the field, and it makes it hard for ATC to see one side of the airfield because there's trees in the way. You didn't get that in FSX because default they just surrounded the airfield with a big flattened land class poly, and it masked everything. This looks like it has actual clutter in it, which is nice. And I came. See, this here is another shot that makes me think that there is some Flight Sim World code running here. You cannot look at that and tell me that that doesn't look like the raindrop effect from Flight Sim World. Look at it. It really does. You know, it's quite possible there is code from Flight Sim World in here. It would not surprise me. Other thing catches my eye about this is that looks like there is synthetic vision on that primary flight display. That doesn't look like a G1000. That may be a G3000, but that looks like synthetic vision. Atmospheric effects look great. That looks like windshield rain effects from Flight Sim World. Again, it wouldn't surprise me if that was the case. And look at these night effects. FSX plus Orbex eat your freaking heart out with that lighting right there. So this is, I believe, a Piper Cub, and it's the more modern carbon fiber Piper Cub. But the thing that caught my attention here is, one, these reefs look very nice, and two, animals. Please, animals. I can't get Wildlife Plus to work on FSX Steam. You know, seeing the birds flying in circles around thermals gets really old. I'd love to see more animals running around. So yeah, if this is not a scripted event or just something for the trailer, and this is like actually how it looks in game normally, sign me up right now. And some stuff happens in the trailer. You know, it looks really pretty. Looks like there's way more detail on the animals that are in there this time. We can see 3D grass even out in the open where there's no airport. You get 3D grass. Add-ons can give you 3D grass at airports, but you don't see 3D grass like that. Like, that looks almost like autogen, doesn't it? Also, look at these trees. These trees aren't just, 3 or 4 flat textures. Those are real trees right there. Also, way more detail on the animals. If you look at the shot of the giraffes moving, yeah, way more detail. Also, this shot right here, correct me if I'm wrong, but that looks like a sloped runway. This is the only shot in the trailer that really showed off the runways. The runway airport from before, it looked kind of flat, but this one you get a sense that runway appears pretty sloped. Without knowing exactly where these screenshots are taken, this could be, is this in the Alps? This might be in the Alps, but without knowing where these screenshots are taken, I don't know for sure, but that definitely looks like a sloped runway to me. And this is a Caravan EX. And, that's pretty much it from the trailer. I mean, it looks like it's going to be for both PC and Xbox, so that's great. Get some more people in here. Now, before we close out, I do have some thoughts and some negatives I want to go over. And the first one is, this may be streaming data, satellite image from a server, which means this is going to be always online. Either that, or it's going to require a huge amount of disk space for local data. Maybe not. Maybe they've come up with some new way. I doubt it, but they could also do what X-Plane does and split the areas up and you just download the ones you want. If it is streamed, however, this does present a few issues. What happens when the servers are down or your internet connection dies? The FSX works fine if Steam goes down or if my internet connection shits itself. But if your streaming data is necessary for the game to work, I mean, yeah, that's the future, but the infrastructure for it is not there for that many people yet. Now, I'm also worried this may be yet another flight sim you can just dick around in. Now, that is a problem. That is a problem with FSX, P3D, X-Plane, and even Aerofly. Dead Sticks looks like it's going to try something different, and DCS has got combat, but pretty much every civil flight sim is just a sandbox with nothing to do. You know what's badly needed? Something to fucking do. There's all these add-ons and services like FS Economy, and they all suck in their own unique way. We really need something built into the game. Think something like ATS's Economy or Job Market, or Falcon 4's Dynamic Campaign. That's really needed in a civil flight sim. The reason I was more interested in Flight Sim World over the alternatives was because, at the very least, they were trying something different. Which Dead Stick is too, but there really hasn't been as much about Dead Stick as there was with Flight Sim World. Say what you want about Flight Sim World, and you probably wouldn't be wrong. But they did at least try, and that's more than can be said about their competitors. The other thing is, I've seen talk in the the Reddit posts and other places. Well, not really. I've just looked at the Reddit because that's all I care about. Will this be add-on friendly? You guys know my opinion on add-on developers. If it were my decision, this game would not be add-on friendly, or at least it would not be as add-on friendly as FSX is. Unless the add-on devs were to agree to follow some basic rules, like no outrageous prices, no DRM, and a refund policy, stuff they should be doing already, I will tell them to stay away. I would not want to be in business with them, nor would I want them associated with my product. I honestly believe, in order for this community to move forward, we need to be willing to give the add-on devs the finger, and the sim devs need to be willing to make add-on devs redundant. I'm not against add-ons at all. Hell, I could entertain some arguments that they might even be needed. But things need to change, and the current add-on devs will not move until they're pushed. So, I'll just leave it there. Basically, I'm saying, if it's not add-on friendly, that's really no skin off my nose, to be perfectly honest. The other thing, this may be more geared to a casual market, but honestly that's a good thing. It's exactly what needs to be done. They showed this at E3 instead of FS Expo, and honestly, that's the place to do it. On that note, why does FSCon and FS Expo always happen at the same time as E3? Talk about not even giving yourself a snowball's chance in hell. I believe now, more than ever, sim devs should focus on getting new people into the flight simming community. They should not alienate the core fan base, but you're not going to get new people in here by catering to the group that will most likely buy your product anyway, because, well, flight simmers are, by definition, people who buy and play flight sims. You make a good flight sim, they will get it. And let's be honest, if you want to generate hype, going to the small community convention that only has 1,500 people versus the biggest gaming showcase in the world with fans and press in attendance, think about that for a second. Now, one negative, bit of speculation here, this has a non-zero chance of ending up being a games as a service model. You know, that games as a service where you buy into the game and you're constantly buying things to keep playing, parts of the game that would have been included as an unlockable or instead placed behind a paywall. You don't even buy them directly. You buy virtual currency to buy the virtual product, or worse yet, you buy the virtual currency to buy the key to unlock the thing that might give you the virtual product. Ugh. It's a problem. It's a problem plaguing the AAA games industry, especially EA. Fuck you, EA. And given the way the FS industry has set itself up, and how community members will drop hundreds of dollars on single planes that infect their computers and steal their passwords, the flight sim industry is rife for this kind of thing. And it would not surprise me at all if this ends up going that route. Again, flight simming is pretty much set up for it. Now, I could make arguments as that would not be really too different from how things already are, cough cough, Flight Sim World, but it's still not a good way to go. This is the end of the video, alright? And as of right now, I don't really plan on talking about FS Expo really at all. Honestly, hadn't even been following it. Hell, I you know how much I care about it? I could have went to it. Orlando is only a 3-hour drive for me, but there's nothing there that interests me. I have no desire to go. I could have hopped on an Amtrak and been there in 3 hours. Hell, I have friends and probably even family, if I think about it, in Orlando. I wouldn't even have needed a hotel room. But I just have no interest in going. I don't want to drive 3 hours in Orlando's crap traffic and that interchange at Daytona just to go to... there's nothing there that interests me. Now, me and Jimmy the Stash, he's been in some of my videos, and I've been in some of his. we're currently planning our annual E3 thing we do. It's kind of spur of the moment this year because we've both been busy. So I don't know if it's going to happen or how it's going to be, but we're currently planning it. So we'll probably do that. But a new Microsoft Flight Sim being announced and looking this good and doing things the way this one's doing it, yeah, this is good. I had to do a video. The hype is real, and if hype was their goal, they certainly have made it in this community, because the Reddit discussion on this is a good read, and your typical assortment of wrong information that you find in these kind of things. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this. Definitely looking forward to following this one some more. Have a good day, everyone.
Holy shit!